So thanks for tuning in. Today I want to show you my VJ setup, which I developed in TouchDesigner. And one thing, I always build things in TouchDesigner like a cool thing, for example, like that, that kind of visual which you see here. And then you show it on the event, and then you want to switch to another visual which you did, but you cannot because you kind of only built that one. And now I built a VJ mixer that you can basically load the TOX files, the TouchDesigner TOX files, which you want, into two decks like a DJ, and you can fade and mix them. You can have different blending effects to kind of, and yeah, that's pretty helpful and just makes it fun to play with. And yeah, so I just did a whole 1 hour tutorial on this, and then I realized I recorded it in the wrong size. So this is number 2. Okay, let's start here. Let's start where shall we start? Let's start in the beginning. Okay, so how does this work? This thing works on 2 different screens. So for example, you have a performance screen like the projector, and you have your screen where you have your toolbox basically. And there's even a very good way to open the performance screen. I just showed that to you quickly because then you have it out of the way. And you go on perform display. Then you click on window placement dialog, and there you already see stuff, and you click on perform, and now you see here is like a perform window. This thing in the back, that's another TouchDesigner file. So basically we have this. That's like the performance window. You would kind of move this to the other screen. And then you have the perform tools. Here in that window placement thing, you would click here. And that thing you would have on your computer. And yeah, like this, you can have 2 windows. And I think this is the way to do it. So closing this, and leaving the perform mode, and we're here. So good, we talked about how to use 2 computer windows. Then we have the tools. That's basically what we're interested in, the tools. In the tools, we have the tools. And here we have 2 generator tools. This is basically nothing special. It's just, see, it's just the beat. It's just a normal beat chop, which spits us out some stuff. And then there is a math chop, which we can kind of control from the outside to change the multiply of all the stuff or change the range. You know, it's kind of, we can put those values, we can drag and drop them onto our, the comps 1 and 2. Yes. So we have 2 of them. You can also put 3 of them if you want. Doesn't really matter. Or just 1. Or I'm actually not so happy with our options here. Also, you can put in your own ones, or you can put in your MIDI controller chop, and then you have your MIDI values here. That's all possible. Then next thing, we look into the blend modes. The blend modes, this is the blend mode component which TouchDesigner provides. So I didn't program this, I just made a small adjustment. I added the morph thing. So you can see now we are blending, but when I click on morph, we are morphing. And morphing is so cool. So smooth, and you can even make it smoother when you say, I don't want to smooth around with 10, I want to have 50, and then it's even slower and smooth Morph. Yeah. So this was it. That was, I mean, of course, you see the different options which you can click on to play around with. I mean, it's not rocket science. I mean, you can already make pretty cool stuff. So, like, if you look here, let's turn this thing. X time frame divided by 10. So we have the morphing cube, not morphing, we have the turning cube, and you can mix it. Already cool, right? And now we morph it. Huh? It's pretty dope. See, we're just between two things. Anyway, so this is, I got lost. So here you can kind of fade between two things and use a morph. It also works with favorites, and you can kind of show your favorites or everything. This is just done by TouchDesigner. Thanks for doing this, providing that cool tool. Then we have the selector tool, which is the heart, and we have a master tool. A master, that's what we see here. You can load in different masters, but I go to that at the end. I think that's the best. The stuff which you see here, that's the UI. It's just empty container boxes which are getting the information. See, it gets the selector thing, and that's kind of how I arrange the different things. Just makes it, I think it's nice to separate the design, UI design part and the functional part here. Good, selector. It's my first tutorial ever, so be patient. So that's the cool thing, the selector. In the selector, I can select different external comps, and that's the whole idea about it. So if I don't want that cube anymore, and I want to change it while I'm DJing, I'm gonna slowly slide over to this thing. Everybody is looking at my fade patch, and while everybody's looking here, I'm gonna exchange the stuff. So this is my folder with the TouchDesigner program and patches. So all my patches, my TOX patches, I already have them here, and I will exchange it now for something else. For, I don't know. Well, here. See, it loaded. It is. There we go. It's like a thing I built once. Kind of play around with it. Face, you can oops. See, and nobody knows that I changed my noise cube for something else. And then I slowly mix it, and everybody's like, oh, something new is happening. I mean, with basic stuff, right? You can already do so much. Just simple, you know, it's already cool, and we are not really doing much, right? And we can even morph it. Yeah, well, the morphing is here. So that's what I wanted to show you is we can exchange the stuff while we are in action. Here I load different comp in. Nobody knew it. Everybody's looking at these clocks. And then I'm gonna come in. Right? That's the whole idea. And yes, what was I talking about? Yes, I was talking about the mixer. So the idea is that you can put external TOX files into your decks and you see their custom parameters. And that's the cool thing. It's not like you cannot control them, you can control them. And how did I do that? I quickly run you through how I did this. I tried to keep this very clean setup that all the code is in the parent here. So this is all the code basically for that component. And here is a data thing, which kind of changes. So in the custom parameter of that whole DJ deck called selector, here I can kind of change it. I can load a different thing in, and then it will change here, and then it will of course load in a different thing. So you can dive into this and probably make it better, because I don't know, I just did it. Here we have the two different comps. The two different comps, they get there. Here, see external TOX, and it's getting this path to that external TOX. It gets it from that .dat file. And the same here. And here is the UI. And in that UI, we have the selector, which is the two buttons. We have the parameters, and we have the previews, which is just a small window. And the parameters, they're also just getting the parameters from those comps here, basically. I think it's pretty awesome that you can load custom comps from external TOX. I think that's pretty cool, but probably you all know that, and I'm actually not really doing something super inventive here. It's just a simple mixer. Yes. So here the master. Here the master. Right now the master has a little bit of a grain. Let's see, it's a little bit grainy. And I like it grainy because it makes it look more real. But I can also exchange the master. So here I just go to the parameters of the master. I don't even have to be in. I can do that from outside. I can even build a UI for that if I want. I was too lazy for it. So I can exchange. Here we have the comps. That's the stuff which you see here and here. And here you have the TOX effects. I have two masters right now. One is called Simple Grain. That's the one we have right now. One is called Tunnel Vision. Tunnel Vision, that's just like a circle, because I was using it on the event. And even here we can use the custom parameters. Yeah, so we can exchange the decks, but we can even exchange the mastering. If we want to have everything green, we could build our own custom TOX, which changes the color of everything, you know. Exactly. And where are those custom TOX files? So here, that's the folder. In the folder, we have the studio thing, we have the cage thing. I don't dare to delete it. We have image, that's where you can put your images or not. Crashes, I just put them here into place, then it's not a mess, and the backup stuff. And we have the patches. So the patches, that's a complete new TouchDesigner document file. And here I'm just having all my patches. It's the empty one, it's the feedback one. If you remember, I had it in the beginning. So I keep them all here. And whenever I feel like experimenting and building like a new cool TouchDesigner patch, I just copy and paste one, which I have. And then I name it TouchDesigner cool here. And yeah, then I can just save it here, TouchDesigner cool. I mean, let's do something quick. Let's give it a color. Ooh. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Aha. Here. Yeah, so it has some colors, right? It looks different. And what might be important? Just a couple of things, two things. So I'm always using the parent resolution, parent width and parent height, because it will later, when I load the thing into the sampler, it will use the resolution which I have set up. Really important, almost forgot. So the size of the projector. Where do I change this? And I go to Tools, I go to Data, and here Perform Window Width. This is where I put in the resolutions of the projector. So if I have a 4K projector, I would put in those two numbers here. And if I want to change the size of the UI, I can change it here, but that's not necessary, I think. But here you change the size that which your projector will have. Almost forgot that. So now we are here. Let's say we're building this new cool component, and you can see it already has custom parameters. So it has the scale one, it has like a funky turny one, and it has this rotation one. Yeah. But I want another one. I want to add another one, and for example here, I don't know what it's changing kind of the perspective of the box, and I want this. So how do I add this? Because later I want to have it here. I want to control it from the outside. So I make right click, I go to customize component, and then I drag and drop it. And I set it, that's important. I don't set it as bind, master, or reference. I set it as set reference expression on source. I never used this before, but that's the one which you have to use. Because if you use the others, it's binding, and then you cannot bind it anymore, for example, to something else. So like this, you see, we have this custom thing here. But yeah, with this kind of connection, if I move it here by accident, the connection breaks, and I think that's annoying. But there's nothing much we can, no, there is something we can do. What I normally always should do, I make a right click and say toggle read only. Then you cannot move it by accident, then you cannot break it by accident, and we can move it from our custom. See, we can even, now we can control this component from the outside. And that's what we want. So I make a right click on it. I save the component in my, just making this clear, in my patches, TOX comps, and I save it here. Replace it, because I had it already. And now let's change that master thing quickly, because I don't like that circle right now. I think my computer is slow because I'm making this 4K recording here. So now I'm changing the master to this. Maybe I was too fast. So I clicked on the master, I went on custom parameters, and I had those two things. I had tunnel vision and simple grain, and I selected it. And now you see we don't have the circle anymore. Now we have the grain thing. And now we're making a cool effect. We're only going here. Then clicking on the 3D cool. And here it is. Slowly fading into it. And here is the new component with our new custom, and yeah, we can put stuff on it. Here, then you can change the height or the amount. Also, thanks for watching this. Thanks for taking the time. I hope you use the tool. For me, it's a really cool tool because I can finally focus on creating cool patches instead of always building tools. Because DJing is also about the moment and being in the jam and not only producing the tools. I spent 2 years of just building tools, and now I can just go on the field, on a party, and mix my TOX files, and it's really much fun. So I'm looking forward for some feedback. I will try to upload this also on GitHub. Maybe that makes sense. Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching.